very good. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Stimson Center. My name is Brian Finlay. I'm the president and CEO here at Stimson. It's nice to see so many of you here. I would like to thank the Peterson Foundation at the outset for facilitating this and many of these dialogues here at Stimson. This year at the Stimson Center, we mark our 30th anniversary. It's 3 decades of working really quite tirelessly on issues of international peace and security, but it's less how long we've been working on these issues and more the way in which we work on these issues, I think, that sets the Stimson Center apart from others here in town. Namely, we are intentionally inclusive. We bring together uncommon alliances around common challenges and even at times opposing opinions around these challenges, coming together to find common cause to address prospective ways forward. And it's with that in mind that I introduce our guest, the ambassador from the Russian Federation here this afternoon to Stimson, Anatoly Antonov. Ambassador, welcome, sir.
Thank you.
The ambassador himself has had a 30-year career, quite coincidentally. Also predominantly with the foreign ministry, although he served not just as deputy foreign minister, but also Deputy Minister of Defense. He has a background particularly in strategic arms control issues, and since 2017 he has been Moscow's man here in Washington. It's a deep honor to welcome you, sir, to the Stimson Center, and thank you for making the time to do this. Very grateful.
Thank you very much. I just would like to say a few words. First of all, it's very important for us to be together today, taking into account bad shape of Russian-American relations. And it seems to me that it's wise to sit together, to speak to each other, trying to understand where we are and what should we do, whether we are enemies or we are rivals, maybe we're partners or maybe friends. And let's try to understand who we are and what should we do together, how to make our world more stable, and what should we do together to increase security for the sake of the United States of America as well as for the sake of the Russian Federation.
Very good. Well, that's a great segue, Ambassador, for us. I think it's an understatement, of course, for anyone in the room to hear that the current state of U.S.-Russia relations is under duress. But really throughout the Cold War, we had fundamental disagreements on many, many issues as well. But whether it was over strategic arms control or any of the other issues, both then and now, we continued to always talk. We entered into treaties. We developed cooperative projects. And even when politics intervened, we had opportunities for scientific exchanges, for academic exchanges, for cultural exchanges. And it's really in that spirit, I think, that I'd like to have this discussion with you over the course of the next hour. Not to ignore the disagreements that exist, whether it's Syria, Ukraine, strategic arms control, but really to look forward instead and try to find opportunities for common cause where, as you say, the United States and Russia can perhaps build collaborative ties moving forward and improve the relationship. So with that in mind, let me take you for a little walk down memory lane. You spent the lion's share of your career, Ambassador, working on strategic arms control issues at the Foreign Ministry. You spent time at the Conference on Disarmament in Geneva. Even your PhD thesis was on reducing the threats around nuclear arms. So let's start there. Are we bumbling and stumbling our way into a new nuclear arms race?
So you would like me to start just from this issue, but it seems to me that I will spend with you the whole afternoon and evening, because we have so many problems. And if you permit me, I just would like to say a few words to understand where we are, and also it will give an opportunity for you to understand who I am and what kind of opinion I have. I just would like to say that situation in strategic stability as well as in arms control is in a very bad. We are in crisis. I would like to remind you that in 2002, United States has decided to withdraw from ABM. It was one of the crucial treaty between the United States and the Soviet Union. And maybe it would be better for me to start to make one step back. You see that after the Second World War, we have been living since today without any war, just only because of MAD. I hope that many of you know what is it, whether you like it or not, but mutually assured destruction was a base for a peace for the United States and for the Russian Federation. It is clear that if you attack the Soviet Union or Russian Federation, you will get an answer. With such understanding, nobody try to be a winner. Today, I am scared that some politicians and generals in Washington and maybe in other capitals, they start thinking about the possibility to be a winner in nuclear war. I would like to use this opportunity to send a message that it's impossible to win in nuclear war. We have to understand it, and with such understanding, we can discuss some issues of nuclear disarmament and arms control. So again, now ABM treaty. There was a decision of the United States to withdraw from this treaty. At the time, there was a lot of discussions that Russia would not do anything as a retaliation. You see that 15 years has come, and on the 1st of March, my president, Mr. Putin, has to inform the international community about new weapon system. I just would like to enumerate them: Kalibr, Kinjal, Peresvet, Avangard, Sarmat, Poseidon. These names are very familiar for you, for those guys who is dealing with arms control. It was not our option. It was just only an attempt to find an answer to the decision of previous administration to destroy strategic stability between the United States and the Russian Federation. I also would like to remind you that we made a few attempts to start a cooperation with the United States, to start cooperation with NATO countries. I just would like to mention that was a set of proposals introduced by Russia in 2002. When we discussed, maybe you remember, a third position area in Europe, where there were some plans to deploy anti-missile capabilities. In 2007, we offered NATO countries as well as the United States to make a joint venture, could I say joint venture, regarding missile defense. Moreover, there was a very interesting Russian NATO summit in 2010. Again, Russia has introduced some ideas regarding missile defense.
Ambassador, can I ask you, from where we are now at this point, looking forward rather than back, the Russian Federation has proposed extending New START, for instance. Is that still, do you believe, is that a viable option, do you think?
You see that all our proposals are still valid. They are on the table, but I would like to remind you that recently there was a meeting between Mr. Putin, Mr. Shoigu, our Minister of Defense, and Mr. Lavrov, where my president made it clear that we are waiting a signal from American side whether America is ready, not reluctant, to understand an urgency to discuss all relative issues regarding arms control and nuclear disarmament. And he said, and even today I can urge you to start, the United States to start negotiations, because it is prohibited now by my president. He said that all our proposals are on the table of negotiations. We will not try to persuade our colleagues to speed up this process. We will be waiting an answer from American side when and how could we start a discussion on all these issues.
So I'm curious to know, Ambassador, how you view the results of the recent Hanoi summit, if we can turn the page and look at North Korea for a moment.
It's unexpected, you said that question, especially we have not yet even touched a problem of arms control and disarmament, but you say that I'm in your hands. That's why I will obey your orders.
We have limited time. I'm so sorry.
You said I can stay here more longer. It's up to you. It's up to audience whether you are ready to discuss all issues. As to Hanoi, you said that. First of all, North Korea is our neighbor. I hope that you understand that we are not interested to see any missile nuclear challenges to Russian security along the perimeter of our border. It means we are in favor of peaceful solution of all problems we face today at that region. First. The second, we would like to confirm our readiness to cooperate with the United States on this issue. We made it clear many times. Moreover, you said that there were some meetings between our Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs, who just only maybe 1 month ago visited Washington, where he had discussions with Mr. Biegun, your special representative on this issue. Having said that, I would like to say that nuclear disarmament is not so easy project. It seems to me that it's impossible to achieve tangible result within 1 month or half a year. You see, I remember, maybe you know history, how many years we spent to arm. And what I know from my engineers, my technicians, and from my scientists, that we had to spend more time, more money to dismantle excessive quantity of our missiles and warheads. So that's why I understand how it will be difficult for the United States to get a necessary result. And it's very important to confirm that positive result is not just only in the interest of the United States. It is in the interest of the entire world, including, of course, the Russian Federation. That's why we are welcoming all positive efforts made by this administration, by State Department to find a solution, to find a way how to make Korean Peninsula free of nuclear weapons, and how to conclude a peace treaty and to change armistice agreement that is still existing in this area. I understand also, if I take my diplomatic words a little away from what I just said and from our conversation, that of course Washington maybe wanted to get more. We also would like to see peace and prosperity in Korean Peninsula, but it's not so easy. How I understand that North Korea would like to get insurances for security. It's very easy to give up a capability that you possess just only for the future, for economy, for a stable development. But what will be the day after tomorrow? We know situation in Venezuela, for example, now. We know what has happened in Libya, in Syria. And of course, I understand also concern of our North Korean colleagues, that they would like to take into account all concerns, all reasons regarding their decision, or maybe it's better to say implementation of their readiness to dismantle their nuclear and missile program. But having said that, again, we will never recognize North Korea as a nuclear weapon state. It's very important. We would like to see North Korea as non-nuclear weapon state, a member to NPT.
So, Ambassador, if our interests, as you suggest, align in the main in North Korea, is there a unique role for Russia to play in advancing those negotiations?
You see that we are ready to assist the United States. It's up to the United States whether the United States wants to see us as as a partner at the table of negotiations. As I understand it, at this stage, United States prefer to try to solve all outstanding issues alone. But at the same time, I heard a lot of messages, including from Mr. Trump, your president, about a positive role of the Russian Federation in this crisis. And I hope that time will come and we will be at the same table of negotiations dealing with this issue.
Do you still believe it's time to lift sanctions on North Korea?
You said that a few years ago, the Russian Federation and China have elaborated so-called roadmap, which consists of two parts. First, for example, part it's about the potential actions made by United States and also potential actions that should be done by North Korea. We consider a necessity to continue step-by-step approach. If there is a step from North Korean side, we consider that it would be wise to make some concession to them. And it's up to the United States and North Korea to decide when this issue is ripe to start movement. At least as I understand from press conference delivered by United States President, that at this stage he is thinking about a potential steps by United States if and when North Korea can make some steps towards nuclear disarmament.
Mm-hmm. So let's turn to an easier problem, Iran. Is there a future for the JCPOA?
It's a very difficult question, frankly. I was very much upset when the United States has decided to withdraw from JCPOA. A few years I participated in negotiations on this issue because I was responsible in Moscow for arms control and disarmament. I remember, you can imagine how much critics are hurt to my side, to my country, staying here. But sometimes I'm very much surprised. During the Soviet Union period, I remember how our colleagues from the United States, from Western countries, criticized us for our hymn, where we tried to say that we would like to destroy everything and then we will construct something special. If you remember, especially my elder generation could remember it. Now it seems to me that the United States is doing the same. It's very easy to ruin something, but it's very difficult to create. I remember one Japanese proverb that it's very easy to destroy a castle, but it will be needed 3 years to erect new one. So you see that we understand United States concern, the first. That United States has concern regarding human rights, regarding malign activities of Iran in Middle East, ballistic missile programs of Iran, plus nuclear program. Nuclear program was discussed for many years, and it was very difficult, very sensitive compromise between 6 countries who participated in these negotiations. So my understanding is that let JCPOA be still alive, and if United States has other concerns regarding issues that I already mentioned, it would be possible for them to engage Iran for such discussions and for such negotiations. But now United States has decided to withdraw from JCPOA, and there is a legal question. Maybe it's a legal question to American colleagues. I don't understand the substance of UN Security Council resolution on this issue, because JCPOA was endorsed by Security Council, and suddenly one member of Security Council has decided to withdraw from this deal. Does it mean that UN Security Council resolution on this issue is still alive? It's a question, a legal question to my colleagues from the United States. As to us, we consider important to continue to stick to our position to support JCPOA. We also would like to welcome decisions made by Germany, UK, and France, who have decided to elaborate special mechanism that could, I don't want to use a verb circumvent, but I would like, American sanctions, but I would like to use maybe a word to help us to live with JCPOA. And please don't forget about position of China, because China also China sticks to its previous position regarding the necessity to implement JCPOA. It's very easy to find some pretext to withdraw from this deal. And we are looking very attentively at Iranian actions. At this stage, even today, I can say that IAEA has confirmed that all nuclear activities of Iran is under the strict control, and Iran does not violate any agreements in accordance with JCPOA. So does it mean we should ruin this deal? It seems to me that we have to do our best to see this deal alive, and Iran, as well as other parties, to implement all provisions of this deal. It would be wise if United States could revisit its decision and could return back to this deal and to be obeyed by the UN Security Council decisions.
So I want to pick up on that point with respect to the Security Council ambassador. And more broadly, multilateral decision-making, not just at the UN, but at OPCW and elsewhere. That if we think back, the United States and Russia helped found the United Nations now almost 75 years ago. And while, particularly at the Security Council, the two governments did not always agree, what they did agree on was the fundamental need for the institution to have a body where decision-making could be made, where debates could be had, and decisions made that could ultimately be propagated. Are you concerned at the state of multilateral decision-making today, the UN, OPCW, and other international institutions?
Yes, we have a great concern. I would like you also to understand where we are, how this system has been created. After the Second World War, the United States, the Soviet Union, and other countries who won during the Second World War, we decided to organize, to set up UN Security Council. We have elaborated a statute in accordance with which there are 5 permanent members of Security Council, and there are some other non-permanent members of Security Council. And I remember from my life in institute where I studied that the core of our life is legal norms of international community. It was important for everybody to abide with the provisions of all international legally binding conventions. But what has happened now? Again, as we agreed, there is a conspiracy between him and me. I will not blame anybody. I just would like to say a few words that Today, we see that many leaders in the world try to use not legal system, not international recognized conventions or laws, but so-called order based on rules. Frankly, I don't understand what does it mean. I don't understand what does it mean, and what I see some attempts to undercut a system that was created after the Second World War. I would like to say that we are ready to discuss all challenges to our security, all challenges to international system in which we are living. But it does not mean that somebody has a right to undercut a legal binding norms convention that we have created together. It's very important. Mm.
So can I ask you, Ambassador, we've had a long, complicated, and twisted history to bring us to where we are in Syria and in Afghanistan. So in keeping with our conspiracy, rather than looking back, looking forward, is there a special role that Russia and the United States can play together to find common cause, to help bring a stable post-conflict environment in both those countries?
I smile just only because of one thing, because we have found one issue where we are together. Syria. Just only today, there was a meeting between General Gerasimov, our Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Russian Federation, and General Danforth. They met in Vienna. They discussed an issue of Syria, and it's very important. When I worked in Ministry of Defense, it was a great honor for me to deal with this issue as well. At the time, we tried to persuade our American colleagues to conclude a special arrangement, could I say arrangement, or agreement regarding our potential cooperation between armed forces of Russian Federation and the United States. But I failed. Because cooperation between armed forces of the Russian Federation and the United States is prohibited by your Congress. That's why clever American generals have found a word, deconflicting. Deconflict. I don't understand what does it mean in English. You said maybe later you will explain me. But if I, excuse me, if I use wrong word, please don't consider that your generals are betrayers and they stick to the decisions by your Congress and they are not violating any norms or any prohibitions. So you see that we were in Syria before this conflict. They were, they are, there will be 2 military sites on the soil of Syria, based on which we are fighting against Daesh on the territory of Syria. As I understand, the same aim, that the United States has the same aim, to fight against Daesh. It's also clear for us that some guys from the Russian Federation, as well as from the republics on the space of former Soviet Union, left our countries and joined bandits in Syria. And of course, it's clear for us that it would be better to solve this issue outside of my country. I would like to say you that United States, yes, possible to say, is living on the island, but you are not protected from a potential terrorist attack, and you already suffered from this disaster. And many times, on many occasions, we tried to persuade our American colleagues to cooperate together. We did a lot of after attack on the United States by terrorists. And I am sure that we are doomed for cooperation in this sphere. In Syria, we are close. We are very close to defeat Daesh. Maybe we need a little more time, not just only time that was mentioned by some officials from your administration when they mentioned that you would need just only 1 or 2 days. please don't forget that we have Idlib region. And by the way, you see that I decided to be prepared for you. And I even brought some maps. Maps for you, it depends upon what kind of questions you will raise. If you look at this, at Syria, there are some fightings over there, very close to Iraq River, if you know. But don't forget about Idlib. Idlib is the zone of de-escalation agreement on which was endorsed by Russian and Turkish presidents. But we know, everybody knows, that there is a lot of terrorists who are living there. Moreover, we got information that 95% of this territory now is occupied by terrorists. We understand that if we start attack tomorrow, there will be a lot of death from civil population. We didn't do it. We stick to our agreement with Turkey in this regard. But at the same time, you have to understand that this situation cannot last forever. It's a potential threat to United States as well, because I would like to raise a question. What should we do with these bandits who are living, who are fighting there? Do we want them in the United States? I'm sure that I will get negative answer. Moreover, recently there was a very important question raised by your administration, that you have 800 terrorists who are in jails on this territory. You said that this territory is controlled by the United States, by anti-Daesh coalition, plus by some forces by Kurds, as well as Turkey. But there are some jails over there, and 800 bandits are still there. So what should we do? There was a proposal from Mr. Trump to Western European countries to take them back. And as I understand that nobody would like to see those guys at their territory, as well as to Russian Federation. We would like to solve this issue far from the Russian Federation. It's clear. So there is again UN Security Council Resolution 2254, in accordance with which we have to make joint steps leading us not just only to ceasefire, but to start a peace progress. We need a little more time, as I understand that very soon there will be some announcement by UN regarding the Constitutional Commission, and I hope that this Constitutional Commission could start working. As I understand that there are some nuances regarding the composition of this Constitutional Commission, but we are very close to find a solution. Also, I would like to mention that United States administration has appointed very smart, very professional diplomat, Mr. Jim Jeffrey. He's a chief negotiator from the United States on this issue. I met with him a few times. I just would like to confirm that he knows everything. He is a professional. He is a smart diplomat. And I consider he does, and he will do a lot to speed up this process. Jim Jeffrey met two Russian officials from Moscow. I consider this coordination, could I try to use another word, coordination will be very useful for the interest of the United States and the Russian Federation.
So I want to turn and let others jump in and ask some questions, Ambassador. But before I do that, I want to come back to something you had said earlier. I mean, and you have said certainly beyond the walls of this.
When we will start discussing arms control?
You'll get some questions on arms control, I assure you.
So many questions. You said it in my mind. You said even to me, and I don't know what kind of answer to give you.
So I want to ask you this.
But you don't like it, as I understand.
There's clearly a fundamental lack of trust that is on all of the issues we've discussed thus far. And as I mentioned at the outset, even in the coldest days of the Cold War, we had still opportunities for person-to-person exchanges, for academic exchanges, for cultural and scientific exchanges, that even when politics intervened, cooler heads could prevail to prevent the Cold War from going hot. And I'm concerned that today, if we look at the breadth and depth of those exchanges today, as opposed to the Cold War, there are a paltry number. The FLEX program, the Future Leaders Exchange program, and so many others like that have been closed down. And I wonder if that concerns you.
Of course, you see that today I'm very glad to see that not everything was destroyed by various politicians from various corners of the world. When I'm talking about Russian-American relations, could you give me one diary, you see that, at least when it is? Just only one. No. We are losing time, you see that. Как же так? Ну как же так? You see that there is a diary book, you see that. We have prepared it this year. It's about Russian-American cultural relations. The whole book. You will find a lot of interesting stories about Russian and American artists who did a lot to develop Russian-American cultural relations. I will give you some of them. You said that the first is for you. And I will bring other, maybe you said it's not new one, yes? We will give you a new one. Yeah, just please, excuse me, it's my protocol, you said it's new one. It's a new one, you will find. So I have brought with me a few copies, and if you are interested to know a little more about Russian-American cultural relations, you will find it. Culture, outer space, Arctic cooperation. Not too many, but it's a base for a potential development of Russian-American relations. And I'm sure, of course, science, education, and I'm sure that these spheres of our cooperation will help us, diplomats and politicians who are keen to first to stabilize and then to facilitate, to develop Russian-American relations.
And are you concerned that the rollback of those sub-state level exchanges seem to be diminishing even as the political relationship between the two capitals is diminishing?
Of course, if you say that I have so many concerns regarding Russian-American relations. Of course, I see a lack of communication between simple, ordinary people. You see that it's clear for me. Another problem that I face every day is the problem of visa. Our sportsmen cannot come to the United States due to problems with visa. Our artists cannot come as well. Just only 2 months ago, we failed to invite to Washington our delegation of Academy of Science. What is more important than just only dialogue between the United States and Russia on this level? So I just would like to use this opportunity to urge my colleagues that let's relax tension between the United States and Russia, at least in some spheres. It will help us to solve other outstanding issues between the United States and Russia. I cannot, but I say, you see that yesterday I got a letter. I got a letter from Mr. Yaroshenko. Private letter, but I would like to make it public. Mr. Poroshenko was seized by United States. Yaroshenko. Of course, I remember Mr. Poroshenko. Yes, it's another guy. I don't support him. It's for record. It's for record. Mr. Yaroshenko Konstantin. He was seized by United States authorities, and now he's in jail. He already spent 9 years in jail. 9 years in Danbury, state Kentucky. Yes. He sent me a letter saying that, Mr. Ambassador, thank you very much for your assistance. You did a lot of. Your diplomats are trying to do your best. But you see that my condition in this jail is very poor. I lost many teeth. I cannot eat. I have a problem with my stomach. Please, could you help me? Could you persuade administration to provide me medicine, to give me opportunity to survive in this jail? I don't know what I should do. Yesterday I was very much upset. I would like to apply to journalists. I would like to apply to call on Human Rights Organization of United States to look at this issue and to help man who is in jail, just only to provide him a medical assistance. I don't want to increase a quantity or quality of food. I'm talking about medicine. Moreover, of course, we would like to take him back to the Russian Federation to give him opportunity to survive. His family just only recently visited the United States, and now they have some problems on visa. And today I would like to use this opportunity. I would like to call on you. Help us. Help us. Let's help together to Mr. Yaroshenko, just only to provide his medicine. Today I'm not talking about the necessity to reduce a quantity of years that he has to spend in jail.
So we are very far off the issue of strategic arms control now, Ambassador. But I would like to give
you see that
an
it's your problem,
to
because you see that I tried to make some presentations of the very issues, but there is no opportunity for me. That's why I'm forced to use any possibility to convey all measures. We have not yet started arms control because
that's
INF,
the second hour. The second hour, we're going to get into that, Ambassador.
Excellent. Maybe in your office.
We are going to, if you would be so kind, I'm going to take a couple of questions at the same together here, not simultaneously, but in sequence, and then give the ambassador an opportunity. And if you would be so kind as to just give us your name and your organization as well, sir.
Sure. I'm Lee Farron with ABC News. Since you brought up Yaroshenko, there's also Maria Butina, and then the arrest of Paul Whelan and an American financier more recently. Has there been any talk of any kind of prison swaps for any of these people involved? And what do you say to the accusations that the Russians are grabbing Americans for the purpose of swapping them for Russians in detention here?
You see that I know, I am aware of the situation that you mentioned. Of course, we detained some Americans who are now in the Russian Federation. And there is a decision on them. I'm sure that all necessary steps will be taken in accordance with the legal system. But it's not fair. It's not fair to compare your examples with the case of Mr. Yaroshenko, who spent already 9 years in American jail. And it's not fair just only to ignore that he has lost a lot of teeth. He cannot eat. Could you understand? You see that there is no such problems for anybody that you mentioned just only now. Just only mentioned now that in the Russian Federation. So I'm sure that all appropriate steps will be taken. Moreover, Mr. Putin is aware of a situation. He is keeping an eye on this issue, but of course he will not be involved in the discussions of this issue.
Sorry, have there been discussions?
Excuse me? On what?
As a potential swap.
No. But you see that we just only detain a person. We have not yet decided whether he has to be punished or not. That's why it's just only a normal investigation procedure. That's why it seems it's too premature first, and the second, it's a different cases.
Can we take two questions here? This lady and then this gentleman right here as well.
Okay. Netra Halpern with Peace Films. Just to give us a background, I did run as a Democrat. However, what's happening since the 2016 election with Hillary Clinton and her team basically blaming the Russians for her defeat, I know it's not popular to question that that's actually what happened, but I do. And even that when Trump went and met with Putin, that many liberals who used to be anti-war activists are now against the two countries getting along. And so everything's gone topsy-turvy in our own country.
What does it mean, getting along?
Basically, they think that he should be all warring and let's fight, fight, fight.
So you prefer to see fight against Russia?
Many so-called liberals in the United States are now thinking that way. It's very, very distressing.
It will be better.
What?
It will be better. They
So
consider that it will be better to fight.
Yeah, they would rather that there's fighting.
Do you have a quick question?
So just my comment, I guess your comment on this situation of what's happening in the United States with this strong anti-Russia sentiment that's being fomented by the media.
And can we just get this question
Just
right
only
here?
could I answer? That's why I'm here. I'm ready to answer to any questions. I'm ready to discuss with you any problem that you face. And as to the meddling into election, I just would like to say you 1,000 times more. You see that we have offered our American friends to sit together and to discuss this issue without anybody. First, on the basis of confidentiality, and we will be ready to listen to their concerns. We are ready to read some documents if they are provided to us, and we are ready to negotiate on this issue. But you see that there is a reluctance from the American side to organize such discussions. It's not just only about this issue, but on cybersecurity as well, because I consider it's a very burning issue to deal with. And we are losing time together because we could be attacked by a third state or a third party at your infrastructure as well as for us. For example, just only a few days ago, I just would like to say you that we fixed 3 million attacks on Russian IP addresses from the territory of the United States. Nobody knows about it, but it's a reality. So should I say today that United States is interfering into internal affairs of the Russian Federation? I just would like to flag this issue and just would like to invite my American colleagues to start discussing this issue, to understand who these guys are who are attacking Russian IP addresses. That's all. So again and again, you say that I'm ready to come to any audience. I'm ready to discuss any issue of mutual interest. What I want, I would like to narrow misunderstanding between the United States and Russia. And by the way, I was very much criticized due my comments on the results of Russian-American summit in Helsinki. It was the first time in my life when I was criticized for positive words about the United States. You see that I understand that, again, I was a mistake, but I consider it very important to see our presidents sitting together, dealing with very important issues not of mutual concern, but concern of international community. First of all, arms control and disarmament. I tried to return back to our core of our potential, maybe future discussion. Sir.
Okay. Thank you. Julian Borgia from The Guardian. Can I ask you about the Helsinki summit? One of the expectations was out of that summit there would be a strategic security dialogue, stability dialogue. But it failed to materialize. Do you know what happened with that? And also, is there any dialogue going on about New START on any level between US and Russia?
I would like to say you that after Helsinki summit, there were some meetings between Mr. Patrushev, our Chief of Security Council, and Mr. Bolton. These consultations, discussions were very effective. And these consultations and our politicians covered all important issues regarding arms control and bilateral relations between our two countries. So I can add to what I just mentioned that we would like to have more. First of all, you said that, of course, I would like to see my Minister of Foreign Affairs as well as the Minister of Defense who can come to the United States and to sit together with their counterparts and to restart a dialogue 2+2. It's very important. We also previously we had a dialogue at the level of deputy ministers of foreign affairs. I remember last day it was Mr. Rybkov, for example, our deputy minister of foreign affairs, and from your side it was Shannon, yes, Mr. Shannon, former Undersecretary of the United States. I liked very much when I had a conversation, dialogue at the level of deputy ministers of defense. My counterpart was Jim Miller. Maybe you know him. It was very important and useful conversation regarding arms control.
Gentleman at the back.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm Paul Zoni from the Washington Post. I wanted to actually ask an arms control question.
Yes, I understand that just only journalists who are sitting here, yeah?
Can you comment on whether Russia would agree to any sort of limitation on tactical nuclear weapons in the process of negotiation of a follow-on treaty to New START?
It's just only one piece of a problem that we face. You see that I'm not sure that we have to concentrate today on this issue. I just only would like to bring you another map. You see that? You see that? Maybe it will be some questions for you. You see that? I hope that you understand. It's a map of Europe, European part, as well as the European part of the Russian Federation. We are very much concerned that after the decision of the United States to withdraw from INF, missiles could be deployed on the territory of European allies. And you see that it's my military officers who have prepared this map. You will see how many territories could be covered by American missiles. It's a very burning issue, not tactical issue, because we can return back to the situation of the 1987 before when we signed INF treaty. I just would like to draw your attention to this situation and potential situation. You see that we will be forced to deploy our missiles, and here you will see that the whole territory of European countries will be covered. So I just would like to say you that when we are talking about tactical nuclear weapons as well as INF capabilities, we are talking about the security of European countries as well as Russia. INF is not dealing with the security of the United States because such systems cannot reach a territory of the United States. It's very important to understand that who is a loser after you see that dismantlement of INF. It's Europe, European countries as well as Russia. Because a new challenge to our security we will face, and very soon. And we have to avoid such situation. We have to avoid such situation. That's why, excuse me that I interrupt you, but that's why you see that we consider that we have to do a lot to make additional steps to save this system of arms control that is still existing. We have just only INF and START treaty. In 2 years, there will be nothing. How we will live? You see that without any limitations, so everybody could go to any direction that country wants. Please don't forget about NPT. In 2020, there will be NPT review conference, and there will be a lot of non-nuclear weapon states who will torture United States, Russia, China, UK, and France. They will ask a question. What did you do to implement NPT as it is, especially Article 6 regarding nuclear disarmament? And I would like, no, I don't want to participate in this conference because it will be a disaster, and I don't want to be shamed, and I don't want to be blamed by them. But it's reality, because we are coming to this very important, crucial point with nothing. You said that next year it will be clear what kind of decision the United States could take regarding extension of START treaty. We hope that United States will take a decision in accordance with the wishes of American people as well as the people of the whole world. We are in favor to discuss this issue together. You see that again, all our proposals are on the table. What I cannot urge United States today because it's prohibition by my president to do it.
So that's a lot of bad news, Ambassador.
Not bad. It's good news that all proposals are still on the table.
Help us end on a positive note. Are there areas of cooperation between the United States and Russia in the last 30 seconds we have here that don't get attention?
Afghanistan. It's very important for us to cooperate together. Today we didn't mention, for example, nuclear safety set consists of many treaties, many arrangements in this regard. It seems to me that the main concern for the people of the United States as well as of the Russian Federation, it's a potential nexus between weapons of mass destruction and non-state actors. We have to be together. We have excellent instrument in UN, Resolution 5040, that has created a good base for our cooperation. What we should do just only to implement what we endorsed a few years ago. So you see that there are other issues, of course, to discuss. It's a problem of economy. We just only touch some elements by human exchanges. It's a pity. You see that there is a lack of communication between our people. Please, I just would like to remind you, and I would like to finish on the positive note, World Soccer in Moscow. I was very much surprised. I'm living on 16th Street. There is a residence of a Russian ambassador. It's very close to University Club. And you see that sometimes, I'm very lazy, but sometimes I visited this club. So I was very much surprised that in the beginning of my stay here, you see that many guys were watching TV, CNN, and other channels about Russian meddling into election. But when World Soccer came, you see that everybody was focused just only on this event. And I was very much surprised when all guys came to me saying that our team was excellent and everybody in the United States was in favor of the Russian Federation, in favor of Russian team. I also would like to say that I was very much upset, and all my colleagues from my embassy were upset when American team lost the opportunity to go to Moscow. Could you imagine a beautiful final, you see, between the United States and Russia? Let's wait for a while.
Ambassador, next time we will schedule a much longer period where we can discuss strategic arms control. But I want to thank you.
Maybe time will come.
And ask my colleagues to thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. Don't forget, please, my dear friends, to take diaries about Russian-American cultural affairs. My colleagues, it's here. He is responsible. He will distribute it if you want. If you want.
Wow,
maps, not for distribution.
If we could just ask you all to hold on for 2 minutes while we let the ambassador out to the elevators. Thank you. We're going to take your microphone as well, sir.
Okay. No.
Thanks, Katie.
Yes, sir. Please disarm me.
I will disarm you, sir.
Разобрали уже? Да вы что? Надо еще дать, возьмите и пошлите просто по адресам. Пошлите.